Hello, and thank you for watching this short video training on the Exploring Science program. My name is Mark Hoffman. I'm the Science Product Manager for K-8. So we'll be discussing Exploring Science features, benefits, and components today, along with strategies for presenting Exploring Science to customers. We will start by talking about how Exploring Science fits in with the next generation science standards. These are new standards that were released in 2013, and the Exploring Science program is a new core option to meet the next generation science standards. So the K-5 program meets 100% of the NGSS for grades K through 5. Exploring Science is really versatile because it can also be used as a supplement for NGSS, so it can supplement other core NGSS programs or non-NGSS programs. It can also be used as a non-NGSS supplement. The content of Exploring Science is excellent content that can be used for any customer, whether they're implementing the NGSS or not. I want to talk about who the NGSS core customer is, the primary customer for Exploring Science. This is a science supervisor primarily in an NGSS state or in an NGSS district who wants to meet 100% of the NGSS in a straightforward and efficient manner, in a very focused way. There are other science customer scenarios, but Exploring Science is the best solution for the NGSS core customer. This is an example of the NGSS Core Solutions flyer, and it includes the Core Solution and the Core Plus solution. We will be talking about the Core Solution and the Core Customer only. Referring to the Core Customer, the qualifying questions to determine the scenario of this customer are listed here. The first question is whether the customer is implementing the NGSS now or soon, and whether they want direct instruction to meet 100% of the NGSS in their classes. Also, there's a concern about a teacher's ability to teach the complexities of the NGSS. We'll talk about that in a minute. And there's concern about students performing on the new performance expectations, which are a new part of the NGSS. I wanted to go over quickly the pain points of the NGSS core customer. The primary one is that these science supervisors have little time for science. Classroom teachers have little time for science, due mainly to bandwidth issues in implementing other standards like the Common Core or math, or other factors that limit time in classrooms for science. There are also an entirely new method of instruction that the NGSS requires, and this new method of instruction can be intimidating for science supervisors and for teachers. And along those same lines, the district lacked the ability to provide this quality professional development to get teachers up to speed on what the NGSS is requiring of them. Well, Exploring Science can help with all of these, so I've put some answers to these pain points. The first about time is that Exploring Science is very streamlined, efficient, and simple to implement. So this will really help your science supervisors and classroom teachers get right into the NGSS with little effort. The instructional method required by the NGSS is assisted with direct instruction, which is the NGSS printed right on the page of every book from Exploring Science to meet 100% of the NGSS. And also teachers are supported within the student edition, but especially the teacher's guides, on exactly what steps to take to successfully implement the NGSS in their classrooms with their students. A quick overview of the components for students. There are 3 big books for kindergarten: One Life, One Earth, and One Physical. There is 1 student book for grades 1 through 5. This one student book includes all of life, earth, and physical in one book. All of these are available in English and in Spanish, and all books are available as Vital Source ebooks currently as well in English and in Spanish. All of these titles, print and ebooks, meet 100% of the NGSS for that grade. There are also print and ebooks available now in English, and the print and ebooks for Spanish are available October 2014. And then an important note is that coming in February of 2015 are interactive ebook versions of Exploring Science for each grade, and those include lots more activities and assessments in an interactive manner. The teacher's components include one printed teacher's guide for each grade. Even though kindergarten has 3 student books, there is only one teacher's guide for kindergarten that has all of life, earth, and physical science. The teacher's guides follow the 5E model of instruction, which we will look at in a few minutes. There is a reading connection, a literacy connection, in every lesson in the teacher's guide for Exploring Science. And this teacher's guides also provide classroom activity management guidelines along with assessment opportunities in the teacher's guides as well. The print teacher's guides will be available in November of 2014, and digital teacher's guides will be included with the interactive ebooks, which are available in February of 2015. Some extensions to keep in mind with Exploring Science are available, including in grades K2. We have leveled readers for science that are aligned with the NGSS topics. Those are on a correlation alignment document that's available on Mingle. And Ladders Science is available for grades 2 through 8, and those align to NGSS topics as well. So those are some additional materials to supplement Exploring Science as needed. For marketing and sampling, we have a printed sampler available. This shows sample pages from grades 2 and 4. There's also sample pages in English and sample pages of the teacher's guides. There are no bags or cases, sample bags or cases for Exploring Science. Each of these student books in English or Spanish are available to sample loose to customers depending on which grade your customers need. And just a quick note on competition, there are a few other programs out now or soon, and likely more will be emerging over the next year or so. This is just a quick overview of some of the competition that we are seeing now in the market. I want to talk briefly about some successful strategies for presenting Exploring Science to your NGSS core customer. One tip is to focus on trouble aspects of the NGSS. These are parts of the NGSS that are new to instruction, and many teachers are not familiar with this method of teaching. And those include scientific modeling, engineering design, and scientific argumentation. These are explicit aspects of the NGSS which were not a part of science instruction in previous standards. So it's good to point out these troubling aspects of the NGSS or less familiar ones and focus on examples from Exploring Science which help teach those trouble aspects of the NGSS. These are aspects that were identified by Randy Bell, one of the authors of Exploring Science, that a lot of teachers are not familiar with. So some tips on demonstrating or presenting scientific modeling from Exploring Science. The definition from the NGSS is printed there. And here are a couple of page citation examples that you can refer to during presentations which will help your customers understand how Exploring Science addresses modeling in the NGSS. And I've put up a grade 2 example, developing a model. This is a Think Like a Scientist section where students are asked to develop a model about how seeds can transfer themselves place to place. And here are some specific steps and explicit instructions for teachers and students on how to conduct that investigation about modeling. The second tricky aspect of the NGSS is engineering design. This is unfamiliar to most teachers, especially at the elementary level. And here is the definition and then explicit steps on how to go through engineering design based on the NGSS. And here are some page citations from a couple of grades of Exploring Science which address engineering design. So you can refer to those during your presentation. And this is an example from grade 4 of thinking like an engineer that specifically goes through those exact steps on how to design, test, and refine a device through this engineering design process. Finally, we'll take a quick look at the teacher's guides. This is a sample page from a physical science teacher's guide, and I want to just point out a couple of features here. First is the 5E model. This is a model that's very familiar to many teachers, especially in science. It starts with engage, then explore, explain, elaborate, and finally evaluate. And that is a very tried and true method of instructional design that teachers are familiar with. The second is that every lesson has a reading connection or literacy connection, so that there are connections to the Common Core, but also literacy and science can be implemented in the same lesson. And then the assessment opportunities within the teacher's guide include the final E in the 5E, and that's evaluate. This is focused primarily on the wrap it up sections from the student books that are on every single page. There are also rubrics available where necessary to assess students. And finally, you'll see there's also an indication to the My Science notebook. This appears in the student books and the teacher's guides, reminding teachers that students should be using their science notebooks to record notes, to ask questions, to make observations, and that is another excellent way for teachers to assess students on their understanding of the NGSS concepts by evaluating their student notebooks. Those are the key highlights of the Exploring Science program for grades K-5 in English and Spanish. There are additional resources available in the training resource packet and on Mingle. Thank you very much.